Thank you for choosing McCaffery Reserve Consulting as your reserve specialist. This is a short video to highlight some of the sections of your reserve study. We strive to make our reports professional while being easy to understand for property managers, board members, and homeowners. We've set up our report so it's self-explanatory, but created this video to highlight a couple areas of the report. For an in-depth description of the report, please read through the preface because it contains a lot of useful information and gives a detailed description of all the numbers in the report. Let's start on page 3-1, the component summary. This section lists all the common components that the association will need to maintain. The association should carefully review this section and get back to us if they have any feedback or proposed changes. All the numbers in the study are driven by these numbers. Each component is given a useful life, a remaining life, and a unit cost. From there, the fully funded balance is calculated for each component and then summed up for all components to give us a total fully funded balance for all of the association's components. Fully funded balance is the ideal amount an association would have in the bank if they had saved the correct amount for all components over their useful lives. Next, let's flip to page 2-2, percent funded. Percent funded is probably the most important number in a reserve study. It compares your fully funded balance to your actual reserve balance. It is the ratio of what you actually have in the bank to what you should ideally have. Percent funded ranges from 0 to 100% and above. The higher your percent funded, the better off your association is. In general, below 30% is considered poorly funded, between 30 and 70% is considered fairly funded, and above 70% is considered well funded. This chart here makes it real easy to see where your association stands. The lower chart shows where your association's percent funded will likely be over the next 30 years if they follow one of the 3 funding plans included in this report. In this case, the association's current funding plan eventually drops below 0%, meaning they'd need a special assessment. On the other hand, if they were to follow our recommended funding plan, you can see their percent funded increases and eventually gets up to that 100% funded level, which is the ideal place to be. On the next page, 2-3, the top chart shows what the association's estimated expenses will be over the next 30 years. The lower chart shows the fully funded balance over the next 30 years. So this top line, the red line, is the fully funded balance over the next 30 years. And you can see that it increases over time due to inflation and the fact that your components are depreciating and getting older. The lower 3 lines are the 3 lines if you were to follow one of the 3 funding plans. And again, you can see the bottom line drops below $0, meaning if they follow their current plan, they're likely going to need a special assessment. And again, the top line is our recommended funding plan, and you can see that eventually that gets up to that fully funded, 100% funded level. The next page, 2-4, is the table of all the numbers used in those previous charts. This table shows the estimated annual expenses for each of the next 30 years for the association. It shows what the fully funded balance will be over the next 30 years, and then it gives the details of each of the 3 funding plans, current, recommended, and threshold. For each funding plan, it tells you what the contribution will be, what the balance will be, and what the percent funded will be. Keep in mind that 3% annual contribution increase is included to keep up with inflation over the 30-year period. The threshold funding plan is a minimum cash flow plan where the association's percent funded will approach 0% but will never drop below. This funding plan does include a higher risk of special assessment. We encourage all of our associations to follow our recommended funding plan, but some associations choose to be somewhere between the threshold and the recommended funding plan. Well, we hope this video has been helpful in giving you a quick overview. Please read through the entire report to get a full understanding. If you still have questions, feel free to contact us. Thanks again for using McCaffery Reserve Consulting, and we look forward to serving you in the future.